Hi, everybody. I've just noticed something really super interesting that I thought it's worth sharing with you guys. I was just looking at a client's chart and I was looking at some details for this particular individual. And so it led me to this discovery, which I think is actually just fucking so fascinating. So basically, most of you would be aware that there's something called the nodes. Let's just go to today's chart. Here's the nodes in this chart. Now, these nodes are actually the moon's nodes, as most of you would be aware. Uh, Perhaps there are others that are not aware that nodes actually exist for pretty much every other planet as well. It's a whole other field of astrology. It's very complex, um, and it's very, very worth paying attention to. For example, when you were born, wherever Venus is for you, for instance, Venus will have some nodes as well. And it's the interpretation, just to keep it very simple. Of course, it always has to come down to the whole chart, right? When you're looking at the individual chart. Um, but simply put, the basic premise is whatever Venus's north node is for you at birth, that is the integration point of how your natal Venus will be influenced and what she is working towards as well. And her south node will point to what she's developed in the past, just to put it very simply. Now, here's the banger. And it took me ages to work this out, by the way, because that's why sometimes this kind of work, it's a little bit tedious because you have to the way the computer programs are made, it's in such a way that you can't just, for example, put up a chart and see a stream of days, months, and years just on one screen showing you the nodes, right? The nodes of the other planets, where they are at any given moment. And the nodes of Venus, they can chop and change fairly rapidly, as can Mercury's nodes. And Mars is sort of in between, and the rest of the planets, the signs that they're in tend to stay there sometimes for generations and so forth, right? So it's very different with each planet. But what I worked out is that if we go to, well, as a matter of fact, even just looking at today's chart, so let me just bring that up. Okay, so this is today's chart. Um, so if we just go to, if you've got solar fire, this is what you would do. Just go to reports, okay? And you'd go to the section where it says planetary nodes. Over here to the left, what do you see? You see a symbol of Venus, and it says ascending node. And what's the sign and degree? It's 6 degrees of Aries. Okay. So basically, Venus is transiting north node. The ascending node is the north node. The descending node is the south node. So basically, from now until, so I had to look at quite a few charts to work this out. It took me about half an hour, 40 minutes just to do this, dig my head in. But anyway, just one of those things. And if we take it from, say, beginning of February, okay, till about the 15th of March, thereabouts, you can see Venus is in Aries. Okay, during this is the point. Venus transiting Venus is in Aries. Okay, she is going to become the Aries Venus morning star around the equinox. Okay, basically 20th of March around there. And during this time, this whole time, her own node is also in Aries. So I'll show you the node now for this chart, right, which is 15th of March. So you can see it with your own eyes, and therefore you'll have no doubts. Okay, can you see Venus there on the left-hand side again? There's the symbol ascending node. That's the north node. Can you see the degrees? 27 degrees of Aries. So really simply put, I think what this is showing us without going into too many complexities, the the journey of Venus in Aries, which is where Venus goes retrograde. Then she will be reborn as the Venus morning star. Throughout most of this journey, at least until the 15th of March, while Venus is retrograde, you can see it there. Venus's own north node is in the sign of Aries as well. So I think that just really amplifies the meaning of Venus in Aries and the meaning of this new seed that's being planted relative to the Aries Venus star point. Now, once again, I am going to come back and just do a separate video on the Aries Venus star point, but because this the node of Venus in Aries, the north node, pretty much changes just around about the 15th or 16th of March. I thought I'll come on and speak to it now in case I forget about it or whatever. It's current, you see. I showed you the chart for today, which was the 11th of February, and Venus's north node is in Aries. So what does that mean in plain English? I think it just really emphasizes the components of the warrior goddess, Venus in Aries, and the just the passion, the boldness, the courage, and the warrior side of Venus in Aries to be courageous enough to be herself, to discover more of herself, and to have the courage to be herself. I bring this up because I speak to a lot of different people, people that I know personally, people that I don't know personally, women especially. And I've heard from a lot of different women at different times. Um, just, the struggle of feeling comfortable and confident in their own skin, be it for multiple reasons. That could be due to parental influencing. You could have a mother who just puts you down all the time. Who doesn't support and nurture your feminine independence, your doesn't nurture your courageous side, encourage you to be brave and be yourself and express yourself. So that's what all this is pointing to. Or you could, be around people who, or a certain individual, might just undermine your feminine confidence, because this is about feminine confidence, right? Now, Aries is a masculine sign, okay? And Venus in Aries she is trying to find her own identity. She's trying to express her own courage through Venus, through the heart, through love. But she's got to, I remember Jason Holly, I participated in a webinar he did. This was a few years ago. Some of you might know who he is. He's an astrologer. I think he's living in Hawaii now. Anyway, he's got a very strong psych background and therapeutic background and so forth. And in my opinion, his knowledge when it comes to mythology, apart from Roman Kolev, he's up there with one of the best. He just has an incredible insight to the mythologies, namely the Greco-Roman mythologies. And I remember he was talking about Venus in Aries, and he had a picture of Wonder Woman, And if you think about Wonder Woman, now some of you might be too young to know about her, but you can just Google her if you don't know who she is, but surely most of you would know. If you look at her when she stands in her Wonder Woman position, once she's done the twirl and she's in her gear, right? Which I loved her as a child, by the way. She was like one of my heroes. Um, and she has her hands on her hips, right? And she stands with her legs slightly apart. So her shoulders are up, her chest is pushed out, her hands are on her hips, and she's looking directly at her opposition. That is Venus in Aries. In other words, I'm here, I'm fearless, I'm bold, fuck you, this is me. Like it or don't like it. It's that kind of thing, if I can just put it in layman's terms, so to speak. So Yeah, I feel this Venus in Aries journey, which is a long journey, as I said in the Leo full moon video I just uploaded earlier. Venus will be in Aries from February until June. And here we have Venus's own North Node in Aries, basically, pointing the direction, pointing the direction of being courageous in your own femininity and not afraid to be yourself, to express that, right? To radiate the strength and the courage, right? Without the fear of being judged or excluded or ridiculed or misunderstood or whatever the F it may be. So I just wanted to share those couple of points with you because it is really, really worth considering, especially if you are working with the goddess herself, Venus, and you are working with this cycle of Venus, which is her now coming to the culmination of her last retrograde cycle, which was in Leo, which again I spoke about in the Leo full moon video. So these are really important times and passages right now with Venus's transit in Aries, because this is where she's going to be reborn as Pallas Athena, which is the morning star, which is the warrior goddess. Venus is in Aries at the moment. That's where she's going to go retrograde, and her own North Node is in Aries as well. That's a very powerful message. Um, I want to say for women in particular who perhaps have struggled um, with their own warrior feminine energy and their own courage. Now, this of course can apply to men as well, because we can't just sort of say Venus is only for women and that's it, and Mars is only for men. But generally speaking, Venus is a feminine archetype, right? So it is about the feminine principle, which exists both in men and women, right? Just keeping it very simple. I'm not excluding the others and the theys, right? That's just up to you to channel into this with your own, with what feels right for you relative to how you wish to integrate it. I can't speak to every single individual's um, choices and complexities and whatnots, right? So I've got to draw the line somewhere. So I just want to say that this represents the feminine archetype in all of us. And I just feel that for women in particular who perhaps are very strong, actually, by their very nature, are very strong, but have been, sort of suppressed, or put down or or shut down because of their strength, right? That's been happening, for a very long time. So I just feel that this is a wonderful portal, to really support people through that process if they've got a journey going on that they relate to with this material. And so if this speaks to you, this can be very, very, very helpful, because the North Node, the transiting North Node to Venus, that's speaking to the collective. Anyway, it's not just speaking to one individual, it's a collective transit. But, there will be certain individuals that would probably tune into it a lot more and get more out of it because they really need that kind of support, right? So I hope that helps, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.